What is the difference between Viagra and Cialis?
Yeah, I mean, they're both a pill. They're both in that same class. They're PD-5 inhibitors,
Okay.
phosphodiesterase and 5 inhibitor, which is the enzyme that helps detumesce the penis. So if you
Okay.
inhibit the inhibitor, the tug of war, when you get stimulated, it'll gain the erection and maintain the erection longer.
So how do they work differently?
Half-life. So the molecule, they're in that same cluster of a molecule to work within the vasculatures, within the vessels of the certain arteries of the penis. So if you look at
No.
Viagra,
Yes.
it was never meant for that.
It's meant for the heart, right?
No, well, it was meant for patients with pulmonary hypertension.
Okay.
So if you're going skiing up in the Alps, you take a Viagra, you'll breathe easier. So patients were men and women taking these Viagra 3 times a day as a study to see
No.
how does it affect pulmonary hypertension. So as a side gig, they realized that
They
it
all
helped,
started getting erections.
and then they realized that the receptors are also down below, hence the billion-dollar business. So Viagra is the first. Its half-life's around 4 hours, so it's quick onset. It is
Quick onset meaning you take a Viagra.
about half an hour later, it's in your system,
So if you're gonna have intercourse, you take it half an hour before or an hour
and up to 12 hours because of the half-life.
Okay.
It's best taken on an empty stomach, so if you were gonna go have a very fancy meal, it may be less absorbed
If you eat.
if you have a lot of fatty meals, so it's
Oh, I don't know.
so and then with Viagra, the unique to it is it may so you also have phosphodiesterase inhibitor, receptors in the back of the eye, so some patients who take Viagra, when they look at the light, when you have the choice at your Renault depot, you have white light and blue light and, that kind of blue hue. So some people who take Viagra will see sort of a bluish hue. Like, they'll see clearly, you won't crash the car, but
Yeah.
your interpretation of the white may be off a bit.
And how long does it stay in your so you'll take it 30 minutes before and it'll stay in your system for how long?
Up to like, say, like, it's the one-day pill. So if you take it today, it's good for 12 to 16 hours.
So the Viagra will stay that long in your
Right.
system.
Doesn't mean you walk around,
Yeah.
getting
You still have to be stimulated, excited. It's not an automatic
correct. It helps a
interaction.
natural erection
Okay.
versus the injection we talked about before.
Yeah.
You could inject and
Right away.
that's not right away,
Not right
within
away.
10 minutes, but it initiates something that is independent of stimulation.
And the Cialis, what's the difference with Cialis then?
So the Cialis, or, everything has 2 names. So,
Yeah.
sildenafil and as by
Sildenafil. Yeah.
tadalafil, and there's a Levitra, which is kind of like there's a third kid on the block,
Oh,
but no one really talks about it. And
it's a new?
no, it's
Okay, it's okay.
that's not new.
It's the only two
Well, it's
I've
it's
heard
it's
of.
the
So
2 of, and I think if you look at some of the data for Levitra, it had most of its data on diabetics and so forth. But it's one of those third options where some people will come to see me and they're like, "Look, the Viagra, I got a headache, and the Cialis, I got muscle aches, and there's, let's try this." I always try as a patient here, like, try 2. I don't know which one's gonna be best for you, but depends on your how often you're having sex.
yeah.
And so the cool thing about the Cialis, it comes in, let's say, 2 different ways of delivery.
Okay.
One is what's called PRN before, like, "Hey, honey, tonight's the night." The half-life is longer, so it's up to
So say
36 hours.
so you'll take a pill how long before?
Same idea, about half an hour.
Half an hour.
So
And it's gonna last for?
up to 36 hours, kinda like the weekend pill. So, it was developed later, so it came out a few years after Viagra, and with it was, go have a fatty meal, go have some wine. It won't be
Mhm.
impacted by absorption, and
But I'm assuming in that case, the Viagra is probably more powerful in the short term. Would you or no?
well, again, some people assume, well, it's Viagra max dose is 100 milligrams and Cialis is 20 milligrams, so it must be more potent.
Yeah.
It not the
No.
same correlate.
Okay.
But or if I take Cialis, what if I take double dose? Will it be
Yeah.
better? You'll be wasting your money, and you may have more headache, or stuffy nose, or, back muscle aches. But
So I know in a prior show we talked about taking Cialis daily, that it was
so that was the other benefit of Cialis. So if you look at Cialis, call it, 'cause I joke around, as like kind of the wonder drug because it's FDA approved for daily use. So
we
you
did.
have to so you take a small dose every day. I call it the C5 daily Cialis, a 5 milligram pill.
Yeah.
You just take it every time at the same time, and by the
It's like
fifth,
taking a vitamin.
it's some
Daily.
say the C5 vitamin. It's
Yeah.
your like Forever 21 pill. And here's what we know and what the proof are. Number one, it helps be like your Cialis 20 after your fifth dose. So you're taking it regularly. So you don't have to sort of time like,
Yeah.
let's honey, give me a second. Let's, triangulate.
I need a
Just
pause. I need a break.
exactly. It just in the
I'll be
system.
back in 20 minutes.
Less side effects because you're not getting that big pump boost of a 20.
Okay.
And then, that's for erectile function. And then it also has been shown for men who have enlarged prostate, who are taking Flomax, who take these pills to relax their prostate, to urinate better. It does the same job,
Oh,
but it doesn't have any impact on ejaculation, which these other alpha blockers that we give to men with enlarged prostate relax their prostate, but, impact when they ejaculate, there's less fluid that comes out. So if you're on Rapid-Flow, you're on Zatril or Flomax, these pills relax your prostate and impact ejaculation. They don't do anything to erection. The Cialis 5 daily does the exact urinary parameter improvements for BPH, benign prostate hyperplasia, and make erections better. So what's the side effect? Like, it sounds so great.
yeah.
I joke around, it's like poverty because it's like $80, $90 a month. So certain people who have insurances who've tried the Viagra, who've tried Flomax, who get headaches or so forth, then could say, look, I've tried a few of the alpha blockers. I want to do the Cialis.
So you think I mean, I guess man over 40, 50 who might have mild erectile dysfunction, or he could take it on a daily basis.
So yes, I mean, if you have the financial aspect to do it, and there is some data. If you look on men who are taking PD5 inhibitors, they looked at a retrospective study out of California published 2 years ago. Men who are on these PD5 inhibitors, again, it's not a randomized study. We need that kind of data to make the statement. But wow, after 16,000 patients who were evaluated, men who were taking those pills, is because of the pills, or maybe they were watching their weight and exercising, but they had less coronary artery events, less need for cardiac vascularizations, less cardiac death. So, kind of begs the question, what's the number one, outside of cancer, the biggest cause of human death? Cardiovascular dysfunction. Endothelial, which is the lining of those little arteries that we have that over age we don't take care of. We smoke, we are diabetic, cholesterol's high, and that's what is the damaging part. And that's where the Cialis and all these pills work. It brings in nitric oxide, more of it, so that these vessels dilate. They keep more elastic.
Now, I'm going to ask you,
Like the gymnastics of your.
I'm going to ask you, what's a Superman? I heard of this thing called Superman, where you mix a Viagra. Can you take both?
So, Nate Bargatze would say, his skit from SNL, nobody knows. I mean,
Can you take too much of it then?
well, again, in the studies, the patients tried even higher doses, like the Cialis or the Viagra, 100 milligrams 3 times a day. I mean, it helps with relaxing your pulmonary vessels to have less pressure, so your heart doesn't have to push against such a high pressure because you have stiff lungs. That's what it's pulmonary hypertension derived in these patients with bad hearts. But it's not like they had better erections. So I think the whole idea with, if you take more or mix them,
Yeah.
you may get some hypotension. I mean, that's one of the things. If you're on a nitrate and you don't take these pills, because it's going to help relax a vessel that's already dilated because you're on nitroglycerin for patients with cardiac
What
events.
about citrulus? I heard like citrulus on one of these podcasts, like as a like a like a vitamin, or like a
Again, everyone wants the magic pill. I think that's the thing is human nature, we're lazy. You don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning to go to the gym and get my exercise. I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to go and get an extra snack. I'm going to go for my midnight, bag of chips at night. That's the thing is, I think there's those elements. That's your key. That's your foundation. I think we all want the elixir, and you have to invest in yourself, and you have to, do things that you need to do to protect your vehicle.